Welcome to this week's production of the Spiritual Algorithm, um, produced by the L.E. Woods Ministries. I'm Dr. Lonnie, and I'm here to share with you this week's Bible study and sort of discuss a little bit of what's going on in terms of your spiritual walk, your spiritual journey, and the challenges that you're facing. I am again still reverberating a little bit from the election of a week ago, as I'm sure you are. Therefore, the relevancy of that subject has brought me um, to discuss a part of the fallout from that, which I think is still, as I mentioned, reverberating in our hearts and our minds as we attempt to determine which direction we may be going and how can we reconcile, if that be the case, with these results, and what part will that play in our lives for the next 4 years. Formidable in one sense, challenging in another, but more importantly, opportunity as I see it and as I shared on last week. I do believe that there's always a room for hope and there's always room for positivity as we engage in our daily practices and anticipate our futures. So tonight, I've selected a passage from the book of Ephesians that is always appropriate for us to meditate on, but I think this week in particular might have a very, very special meaning. And it's verse 12 of Ephesians. And if I may, I will read that to you. And it says, I'm going to start at verse 10 because it gives us words of encouragement from the beginning. It says, finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his power. Be strong in the Lord and, conjunction there, in the strength of his power. Put on the whole armor of God so that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. But here's the verse that I really want to focus on, verse 12. For we struggle not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers of this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Now, I know that's saying a mouthful. And when you reflect on it, it is a bombastic account in terms of directing us as to how we should deal with, I guess you could say, the troubles, the challenges of the day. So it says here, I do that because I want to reflect on a couple of things and share with you a bit of what we discussed on last week. On last week, and hopefully there were words of comfort to you, to encourage you, irrespective of your choice on last week or what you feel, what state you feel our country is in or may be. But I felt that we must view it as a time of opportunity, even more so. It appears from the exit polls that one of the primary reasons the vote went as it was is that America was a bit fed up with high prices as a consumer at the gas pump at the grocery store and with their housing and those primary survival needs. And they just felt that someone needs to come and make a change and do a better job. And if that was the case, then economy and finances were at the apogee of concerns. And so I think that may be the case. So if that is the case, and a choice was made based on that, then the question becomes, what do we do with it? And in my opinion, we capitalize on it. Meaning that if the strength of the next administration is going to be economic and financially driven, why not ride the tide of that strength? Doesn't that really make sense? Because otherwise, while we are attempting to pick up the pieces, the Democratic Party is picking up the pieces and trying to figure out what went wrong, I don't think we can afford to lose stride with what's going on now and what's coming and how we can best partake in this coming administration. So I think from a biblical perspective, we must remain intact as well. One of the points that I chose to share tonight is that of fear. I heard that a few times this week, and I saw it. I saw it in people's eyes. I heard it in their communication, and there's a very tentative posture right now for many of us as to, oh my God, what's coming? I think there's a couple of things that's pretty clear from this past election, and I don't think we have to sweet talk, that America is still a country where there is a high level of racism and more than moderate sexism within the socio-political structure of our country. Truth be told, and we might as well tell the truth. Not a good thing, unfortunate that it may be, but why close our eyes when, certainly this election was a popping eye opener. I'm sure you would agree. And so with that being the case, then it appears when I hear many speak that America spoke, they did. And in my opinion, they were very clear. We are yet racist, and yet we are yet sexist in our decision making. And for now, we're very conscious of our finances and where are they to be spent, which allows me to go on another tangent and say, I'm hoping that we as the common populace are becoming aware that we can't always place our laurels and our beliefs and trust in celebrities, in entertainers, but we must look to some more vivid sources for our leadership, for where we believe we want our opportunities in this society. I think it's pretty common to say that it is difficult sometimes when you've risen to the top ranks to relate to those who are not as successful and prosperous as you. And so sometimes they just can't identify with the common person and where they are. And I think that's where the opportunity is going to lie, primarily for the average middle class American, if you would. And so with that in mind, I'm saying I think we should look and become more educated in the areas that are going to benefit us during these times. And of course, I just mentioned those, primarily financial and economic. We've realized for a long time, especially as African Americans, that the key to overcoming inequities, one of the keys to attempting to moderately equalize our position in this society is to become financially stable and efficient. There are no bones about it. We live in America, a very capitalistic country, and why not? Where opportunity exists. And even on this platform, when one speaks of economic empowerment, be it for women or men, or both, be it for young or old, it speaks the same language. And that's the language we must learn to speak. I'm reminded of how, if you look through the history of African Americans, education proceeded for the most part through the church, the Black church in particular. School and teaching students in school began Sunday school in churches. The major HBCUs were founded, established in the church at that time. So education was key, and that's where it began. And of course, along with education, we anticipate and expect economic growth and improvement. And I think for a while we've kind of lacked become more apparent at this time and through this election that it is probably more impactful now than it has ever been, and a topic that's surely not to be skirted. And so in our struggles to attain what we believe should be rightfully ours, in our having our place in this society of comfort and security, and of course being financial to the extent that we feel that we're not just existing, but we're able to live comfortably and enjoyably. I take a look at this, but there are obstacles to face, and we understand that. That's why we come together as a group, and we seek empowerment together, because we know the masses will speak much louder. But let's look at this text for a moment. It says, "For our struggle is not against enemies of blood and flesh." So if we're coming out and we're worried about and we're focusing on this individual or that individual, we're hearing terms like a despot, a dictator, things of that sort. Well, perhaps we're getting involved and our mind is going in places that aren't really going to benefit us. But this scripture tells us that it's deeper than that. We wrestle not against that flesh and blood, but it goes deeper than that. It's not the individual. It is, it says here, it points out, it's very specific. The rulers, the authorities that are in place, that glass ceiling that we have to deal with, the cosmic powers of the present darkness, spiritual forces. I believe, and I've always said that racism is a sin. It's a terrible sin. It is destructive. It is pervasive. It is dehumanizing, okay? And we're still dealing with it in America. And that's what it is. It's an evil force in a spiritual movement is what it is. And therefore, it warrants to be prepared for such. Now, notice this scripture begins, it says, "For we struggle not." So this writer is assuming that when difficult times come, that we're not just lying down. We're not just pouting and complaining about it, but it assumes that we're struggling. That appears to me to mean that we're in it to win it. We're in it for the fight and the struggle. We're not to be disengaged, disempowered. In fact, we should view it on the contrary. We're more determined, in spite of the results of what we see, that we're more encouraged now to take more upon our own shoulders and attempt to meet this challenge from within. And I'm trusting and hoping, and I mentioned on last week, perhaps this will inspire a more unified effort, perhaps give us reason to invite and attract more individuals to become a member of this Black Women Empowered format platform. Why not more? We are needed more. Let me tell you, when I hear certain individuals who spoke out against African Americans and those who attempted to defend African American men who took flight from the Democratic Party, they made attempts to defend them on the basis that we should not take for granted what they're thinking. But I will tell you this, and when they said the vote was overwhelming, the vote was overwhelming and sent a clear and distinct message of what America wants. Now, I don't know about you, but when I heard that, it was a joke to me. It was as if this was a cakewalk, a slam dunk. That's not how I perceived it. Because the studies would show and the results would show that there were a great number who not only defected from the Democratic Party and the Democratic vote, but there were many that didn't vote at all and did much more damage. The non-voters had a greater impact than those who walked away and voted elsewhere, meaning they didn't stay in the struggle. They didn't take on the fight. They didn't even appreciate the lives that were lost, the efforts that were made, the marches that were necessary to grant them the privilege of voting. We lost out. We dropped our guard. We felt that it was automatic for some reason. And therefore, there were many votes that weren't even cast at all. So it says here, let me get back to that. We struggle not, we're struggling. We, those who are involved, not against flesh and blood. So don't allow the flesh and blood to defeat you. That's what it's saying. So I believe, and I can't overemphasize economics. I would be in favor at this time, if this administration is going to push for lower taxes, if this administration is going to have as its goal massive deregulation. If this administration is going to foster and promote economic profits and growth, why not partake? If there's anything that we can do now as a people, it is to galvanize and anticipate what's already being put in place and make sure there's room for us by making room, not waiting for it. No governmental handout should be necessary, but a mind of implementation and application for the skills and resources that we already have. Why not put them into action? I mentioned last week a cooperative economics between us. Why not activate it, reactivate it, have a goal of taking it to the next level? Why shouldn't our churches, African American churches all over the land, everywhere, have programs of financial literacy ongoing? Every church, in my opinion, should have some type of financial literacy. If there's no one within the church with the capacity or the skills to teach it, hey, bring someone in. Ongoing. The middle class is under a massive attack. We know that. We've been told. Our ally who spoke in favor has been defeated. Therefore, the ranks must follow and pick up the slack through various programs. I have a son in high school, and I'm still amazed in this day and time that economics and finances is not taught in high school. I'm still amazed. And you'll notice that a great deal of the populace, it says a great many of them are not college educated. Therefore, those who are not college educated, if they didn't get finances and economics in high school, then where are they going to get it? Well, again, hey, this election results meant time for opportunity. Who is in a better position to train our own family, people, than us, we who have it? And so I just think I'm encouraged. I'm excited. There are, for instance, if I mention deregulation of certain economic programs that can increase our wealth, how many of the commoners would even understand what that is? Well, who's going to get the information out? We can. On a very grassroots level. And again, I'm attempting to share with your minister, your pastor, whomever it is, we need to get on with the economics. We need to get on with the teaching of finances. We need to be taught more than just to tithe. We need to be taught how to better manage our finances and accrue them. If it means entrepreneurial training at every level, every facet, every church could have a entrepreneurial ministry. Why not? Why shouldn't that be a part of it? When we read about the church in Acts chapter 2, they were about ministry economically as well as spiritually. Shouldn't be a bifurcation. It should be together. Why not? And so, but let me finish this here, this scripture here. Against the cosmic powers of the present darkness and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places, the high places. And so we must replace this spirit of defeat, disgust, fear with time for opportunity. I am more encouraged now. I believe that uh, there should be sessions on. I'm always excited when I encounter an organization that's about the practice of putting into practice ways of garnering um, pay and increasing wealth. Uh, and I'm not talking about hammering people, and I'm not talking about the, I guess you could say, the scams and whatever. But I am just talking about basic uh, financial education, and I don't think we can get enough of it. And you know, when you benefit the basic individual by educating them on finances, it benefits everyone. Because now, if you have a product and you develop a product and it is a positive product, and they can see that to invest in your product will benefit them in the right way, now they can appreciate it from a financial perspective and know that it's worth it. Isn't it amazing? Nike can educate our people from a distance to go and pay $500 for a pair of tennis for individuals who probably uh, wouldn't even pay that for a car note on a monthly basis. So if the corporation can do it with ill intentions, how can we admit and say that we cannot on a larger basis? And so to that, once again, I just simply want to say, um, look around and look at what's going on. Let's not be on the tail end. Let's get on the front end of this. Let's become cognizant of what's going on in the business world, in the news. It's uh, nothing wrong with becoming mindful of that. And we must turn our consumerism into wise spending. And we haven't heard enough of that. And so I do think that teaching is necessary, and we need to start, and we shouldn't wait. The time is right now. I think I read in an article that Bitcoin surged past 75,000 just 1 to 2 days after the election. It's a sign to respond, to act, not wait and see, but a time to uh, capitalize on what's being made available to us in an educative fashion, if you would. And so, with that, I want to say that I am again encouraged and let us remember in our struggle, it is not against flesh and blood, but there is a power which supersedes any of these that are dealing with darkness, and that is the power of God. And we must continue. I am unflappable at any election, any individual. I'm unflappable because I know my roots are in my faith and belief in God to oversee and yet empower us and give us a way in spite of. And in the process of our wrestling, be victorious through being of a very sound mind, maintaining our, I guess you could say, our determination to be successful in spite of, to stand tall in spite of, and still make it our business to eliminate any stronghold, shortcoming, anything that is not fair and not just. We must continue to stand. We should not absolve that or think we've been set back. No. We should be firmer and more determined, more vocal, more encouraging, more involved and more participatory with those groups and organizations and fundraisers that are going to bring about blessings in a mighty way to bless us all. I think that's where we are. Just to give you a little bit, one might ask, well, Reverend, you sure talk a lot about finances in your biblical presentations. And I do want you to know that I do believe that I do not espouse the name it and claim it doctrine. I'm not claiming to pray and get rich overnight. No. But I do believe that God does intend that his people be prosperous and to be in good health. And so, yes, I stand for that. And I do think God will provide. But there's a practical approach to that. We don't just sit and pray for it to come. There's some actual everyday practical, I guess you could say, skills that we can apply in order to achieve that. And that's what we should be about. And in the process and afterwards, give our praises and thanks to God for the knowledge, the wisdom, the training, and then for us following through and overall giving God the credit for God's provision. So I think that wraps it up for today. I trust that I've struck a chord that will reverberate in your mind, and you will share with someone else, hey, it's not a time to be disillusioned, but it is a time to come together and let's see what we can do to make sure that we take full advantage of every opportunity that's positive in this administration and be prepared to fight back anything that is unwise, unfair, and unjust, because after all, we too are a part of this United States of America.
All right. We definitely like to thank everyone for joining. And if you have any questions at this time, you can definitely put it in the comments, and we will make sure that we address any comment or any question that you have. If you have anything that you would like to give as well, we would like you to go to lewoodsministries.com. Once again, that's lewoodsministry.com. You can see that on your screen now. And we would definitely like for you to go in and support this ministry, make this powerful man of God get seen, also get heard as well. Right now, if you have any questions, you can post it, and we will make sure we address it. If you have any comments as well, I do see some comments that we have, not necessarily questions, but you can, if you have any questions, to make sure you ask the questions. I know he's very thorough. So if you do have any questions, a couple of people say we do absolutely need to invest. I had one question about investing, and they were saying, as Christians, what should we invest in?
Wow. We could have a class on that. As Christians. That's sort of a very, very open-ended question. Is it possible that they can sort of specify that question as to it's so broad, it's difficult to comment on.
Okay, so if you are the one that asked the question, can you go ahead and just elaborate on the question as far as investing? If you are the one that asked the question, just kind of elaborate on that so we can make sure we get the right answer for you.
Very good question, though. I'm glad I sparked an interest there.
Yes,
absolutely.
And like I say, for those that have any questions or comments at this time, or even if it's after the broadcast and you want to post it on to the page, you can post it, and we will definitely make sure that Dr. Woods get those and get that answered as well. Once again, you can go to lewoodsministries.com if you would like to sow a seed and allow this ministry to keep going forth.
I will say this to start off. One of the reasons I'm excited about being a part of this dynamic platform is Black Women Empowerment they have a directory, and I'm not sure. There is a strong possibility there's a financial advisor even within that directory, and if not, if you just want special advice or expertise on advisors and stock market specialists, go to my website and leave me a message, and I can personally respond to you. So if you'll give them that site again.
Once again, it's there. It's lewoodsministry.com.
It's ministries.
Ministries.com. So lewoodsministries.com. You can see it on the screen right now. So lewoodsministries.com. If you have any questions or any comments, or even if you would like to sow a seed as well. So at this time, if you have any questions, let us know. If not, Dr. Woods, then go ahead and close us out.
That's it?
Yeah, they didn't have any other questions.
No questions or comments. Okay. I know finances it's not always a very glib topic to deal with. But anyway, great. I trust that everyone had a grand week. And again, I want to remind you that I want to make it very clear that in our struggles, we must be aware that our spirituality will supersede that of our human flesh, and that I would encourage you as in the course of your day to take time out, preferably before you go to bed or first thing in the morning, and do a little meditating and allow yourself to become engaged with your spirituality and seek God for guidance for the day. Seek God for wisdom for the day. Seek God for protection during the course of the day, to assist you in making your decisions for the day, and to even encourage you to speak of the goodness of how God has been to you during the course of the day. Perhaps it will be a blessing to someone else. I'm asking that you give to this ministry, L.E. Woods Ministries, so that we can grow and reach others as we are here. And I certainly appreciate your participation by joining us here each Tuesday at 7 p.m. And so with that, that's it for this evening. We will hope to see you this time next week for the Spiritual Algorithm. God bless and good night.